If you had told me a year ago that I'd be building an underground tunnel so cows could legally bypass an HOA blockade, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are, meet Clover, our star Holstein, casually striding out from what's now known around here as the Mooway Express, a fully sanctioned, government-approved cow tunnel that runs directly beneath the pristine backyard of my least favorite human on Earth, Madeline Carmichael. Why, you ask, would anyone go through the trouble of constructing such an absurd project? Simple. Because Madeline, the self-proclaimed queen of the Oak Creek Hills HOA, decided to illegally block the only legal road to my barn, and this was the pettiest, most elegant, and entirely lawful way to sidestep her little power trip. Now, I know what you're thinking. How the hell did I pull that off? And how did she not catch on? Trust me, I asked myself those same questions somewhere around 2:13 a.m., wide-eyed from too much gas station coffee, furiously Googling, can cows walk through tunnels? While sketching legal loopholes on the back of a feed invoice. But let's rewind. Because like all glorious neighborhood disasters, this one started with a woman, a clipboard, and a shiny new HOA handbook. I moved here after retiring from a 25-year engineering career in Dallas. Inherited my late uncle's farm, a beautiful sprawl of rolling pasture, a bright red barn that had seen more winters than most state lines, and a gravel road that had been there since the days of horse-drawn carriages. I didn't inherit wealth, just functionality and peace, until Oak Creek Hills appeared. Some smooth-talking developer decided that plopping a row of luxury homes beside an operational cattle farm was the definition of rustic charm. Somehow, they sold it to a bunch of city folks who thought buying an overpriced house next to a working farm would bring them closer to nature. And at first, it was fine. Families jogged past with friendly waves, bought eggs from me on weekends, asked questions about the cow sit was almost quaint. Then Madeline arrived. Blonde pixie cut, designer sunglasses that never came off, and a leopard print obsession that extended to her steering wheel cover. She moved into the biggest house near the subdivision entrance, 3 floors of modern, magazine cover opulence, with a perfectly trimmed lawn that looked like it had never known the touch of a fallen leaf. Within 3 months, she'd muscled her way into the HOA presidency like a suburban Napoleon. And that's when the trouble began. Her first target? My gravel road. Now, this wasn't just any old dirt track, it was the only legal access point I had between the front pasture and the barn. I used it for everything: hauling hay, moving equipment, getting the vet to the cows during calving season. But to Madeline, it was an eyesore. She whined about how it ruined the entrance's aesthetic, confused DoorDash drivers, and made the whole neighborhood look unkempt. I tried explaining that the road was grandfathered in. 70 years old. Easement papers stamped and notarized. 3 generations of farmers had used that road, and legally it was mine. She gave me a smile that made me feel like I'd just tried to defend selling lemonade without a permit. The next week, I woke up to find boulders stacked across the road, shiny landscaping stones with a brand new sign: Private HOA property, no access. The HOA newsletter even praised Madeline for her beautification project. Peace restored, they said. Tell that to the cows stuck in the rain without shelter. I called her furious. Figure it out, Farmer Ned, she said with a smirk. I'm not Ned. Never was. But she stuck with it so stubbornly, I started answering to it just out of spite. Lawyer time. I had once sent her a cease and desist. She responded with a letter so thick with legalese it practically dripped. Claimed the easement was under dispute and that the new HOA bylaws superseded any old agreements. Invited me to the next HOA meeting to air my concerns like I was showing up to complain about hedges, not defend my land rights. I could have sued. Probably would have won. But court is slow and cows don't wait. I wasn't going to play by her rigged rules. Madeline was a master of weaponizing bureaucracy. But she hadn't counted on me being an engineer who knew how to carve loopholes the size of a barn door. I started digging metaphorically at first. Old property maps, county zoning plans, easement records so old they still listed milk as 5 cents a quart. And there it was, gold. A 1986 drainage easement. Still active. It ran from the creek behind my barn, under what was now Madeline's lot, and out to a drainage ditch at the far end of the development. Originally built to handle pasture runoff. It had sat there and used but legal for decades. So I got creative. I pitched the idea to the county as a historical water flow restoration project. talked about preserving the ecosystem, improving pasture drainage, and enhancing biodiversity. I sprinkled in buzzwords like natural livestock pathways and heritage infrastructure. Within 3 weeks, I had every permit I needed. Stamped, signed, filed. While Madeline was busy waging war over mailbox colors and outlawing gnomes, I was hiring my keen old contractor friend who owed me a few favors. We worked quietly, nights only, under tarps and camouflage netting. It helped that Madeline's backyard fountain made enough noise to drown out a freight train. And when the tunnel was finished, Clover took her first trip. Sauntered right through. Come as you please. But here's the kicker: it didn't just fix my barn access. It gave me something I didn't realize I needed: leverage. I had planned for the tunnel to be a quiet workaround. But the absurdity of cows commuting underground grew on me. It was elegant, ridiculous, petty in the best possible way. Still, I wanted it bulletproof. So I called Ethan, former engineering intern turned GIS wizard who now did weird stuff with mapping and water flow overlays. I pitched it like this: I've got cows, a blocked road, and a tunnel under enemy territory. His reply? I'm in. He mapped the easement. It didn't just stop at Madeline's property, it ran right beneath her patio and ended near the HOA's ornamental pond. Part of a defunct flood management plan that had never been officially decommissioned. Technically, it was still an active public works route. We pitched it as a wildlife corridor to the county. Claimed it supported ecological harmony and green infrastructure. If the cows used it, well, nature's quirky like that. They approved it again, fully stamped, and the HOA had no jurisdiction. We reinforced it with concrete, low gradient, cow-safe lighting. Even installed a motion-triggered camera for kicks. Every box was ticked. Every detail legal. Madeline caught wind eventually. Marched over one night in rhinestone boots, clutching her usual glittery travel mug like it was a gavel. Demanded an explanation. I handed her a laminated packet of permits with a county seal and a polite smile. She stammered. This isn't over. Sure it is, I said. But you're welcome to file an appeal. Clover's first run was a masterpiece. She emerged under Madeline's wrought iron fence like it was the most natural thing in the world. Madeline had no idea. At least, not until Greg, the quietly disgruntled HOA secretary, leaked the footage. Greg was sick of Madeline's antics. When he found out what I was doing, he was thrilled. He filmed Clover's debut. It was majestic. Early morning sun. Dew on the grass. A cow emerging from the earth like some kind of agricultural deity. Then, like divine punctuation, she dropped a fresh pile of manure right on Madeline's prized rose bed. Madeline came flying out of her house in a silk robe, clutching her top dog mug, and froze. Her mug hit the bricks. Shattered. She screamed. Clover mooed. 2 hours later, a sheriff's deputy rolled up. Chuckling. Said Madeline had reported farm terrorism. I handed him the permits. He laughed so hard I thought he'd drop his clipboard. Can I get a selfie with the cow? He asked. Madeline wasn't done. She called emergency board meetings, accused me of cow smuggling, and swore I'd violated zoning laws. Half the board had finally had enough. The other half just wanted the drama to end. Then Greg handed me a flash drive. It contained audio recordings of Madeline plotting ways to bankrupt me, bragging about sabotaging my property value, calling my animals barnyard garbage. It was ugly, and it was all the proof I needed. I wrote a feel-good article about rural ingenuity and green infrastructure. The tunnel became a hit. Then I posted the recordings. Within 24 hours, the post went viral. 10,000 shares. The local news picked it up. Then the regional stations. By Sunday, Madeline was holding a press conference in her driveway. Mid-sentence, Clover emerged from the tunnel right behind her, as if on cue. Madeline lost it, started ranting about cow warfare and ecological sabotage. Someone turned it into a meme. By Monday, the HOA voted her out in a landslide. Then I discovered her last-ditch effort. She'd quietly filed paperwork to annex my land into the HOA, hoping to bring it under their rules. With her gone, the new board alerted me. I went straight to the county. Not to complain, but to finalize a countermeasure. I had the tunnel's viral story, the permits, the footage, the audio, all the ammunition I needed. Within a week, my land was legally and permanently locked out of HOA reach. I framed the certificate and hung it in the barn. Madeline tried to sue. The judge dismissed it, then asked if Clover could pose for a picture. She sold her house at a loss and left town. The new HOA board relaxed their rules. Even sent me a fruit basket. I sent them fresh milk. Now Clover roams the bypass freely. Tourists take pictures. Local shops sell t-shirts with her face on them. But to me, the victory isn't the fame, it's the principle. Madeline tried to bulldoze over legacy with rules and glitter. I fought back with planning, patience, and a cow. And from my porch, sipping sweet tea, I watch Clover trot through the tunnel and smile. You don't always have to shout to win. Sometimes you just need to dig deep and let a cow do the talking.